The good news is we're nowhere near the next test. The next test isn't until 2/28. Today is 2/20. That's 8 days. But that's also the bad news, because the longer Cooper has between tests, that means the more material is on the next test, the more likely it is he forgot what we did last week. So by the time we test on it, like inverses, he's forgotten what on earth that was. So we're going to try to talk about ways to remedy that today. We did not do number 15 in the math workshops last week. You have out your number strip, you're ready to roll. Someone tell me the answer to 15. Ken and Virginia, neither. Both. Well, they can't both be right. One said 3, one said 4, so it can't both be right. Who is correct? Why is Virginia correct? Oh, good. Okay, so at first I counted 1, 2, 3, and I thought Kenna was correct. But then Paige said the words I wanted to hear, which is why she's going to get a point for her group, that this root has a multiplicity of 2. That is so true, and I could definitely zoom in. Okay, so if I listed out all 4 zeros, -3, -1, 2, and then 2 again, because of that hump at 2. That was how we were supposed to know. And hence why Virginia was so smart, she used the word double root. Because it was a double answer. Are there any questions about 15? Then let's do the first 3 graphing ones on our new math workshop for the week. I love the first one. It's the difference of perfect squares. Someone quickly tell me the answer. Jax and Ellie get a point. Okay, let's go on to the next one. X plus 10. X minus 10. Okay, cool. She's right. -10 plus 6 is -4. -10 times 6 is -60. Perfect. Ellie, get a point. Last one, we're going to have to guess and check a bit. I know the leading coefficients are 2, but it's still not that bad of a problem. Okay, let's see if he's correct. The 2x and the x, that's perfect. The question is, should it be a -1 and a 3? Should the 3 move here? Should the 3 be there? Should the 3 be positive or negative? There's lots of different sign things that we could change. So let's check to see if Jax is right. If he is, he's going to get 2 points. 2x squared plus 6x minus x minus 3. Is Jax correct? No, so he only gets 1 point. Can someone fix it so it will be correct? Okay, so he wants to swap it up entirely. 2x minus 3, x plus 1. Well, let's see. 2x squared plus 2x minus 3x minus 3. Is Gilberto right? Yes, so Gilberto gets a point. But that was the whole point of guess and check. We guessed and then we checked. Okay, you have out your notes from last week. Let's review a little of what I'm missing and what we can't forget and all that jazz. Okay, we did adding and subtracting functions. We did multiplying and dividing functions. Everyone seemed good to go on that. The only thing that was an issue that I'm still missing some checkpoints on is function composition. If I were you, I'd put a star by it or something. That's the part that you seem to struggle with and you need to study on. Last Friday, we were doing inverses, and you were given a worksheet, which I want to see today, like I'm typing in the 0 today. I saw some people's last week. It looks like this. It said algebra 2 with trig inverse functions. It was 10 problems. It was 8 problems, I lied. At the very bottom right-hand side, it said 10, or if you can read it, it looks like a 10. Okay, so this is due. Inverses were easy. We talked about you replace the f of x with a y. You swap the x and the y. And then you solve for y. So we replace the f of x with a y. We swap the x and y, and then we solve for y. No big deal. Life was easy. Everyone liked inverses on Friday. So everyone you think would like today, because that word is back. Determine whether two functions are inverses. Hey, I liked inverses. So you would think life is good, but we'll see. Okay, we were... Oh, okay. Very back page, very bottom 3 is where we're going to be today. After we go over these 3 examples together, if you're wanting to practice some more, which is wise because, again, eventually there are tests on things, the page before this has 2 problems you could practice. And also, if you ask me nicely, I'll go ahead and give you next week's study guide so you can go ahead and do the similar problems on the study guide to make sure you're good to go. Now, of course, you could always assign yourself some problems from the workbook. I was just trying to go ahead and let you work on the study guide problems and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but whatever you want to do. Okay, let's guess before we even talk about how to do this. On number 4, if you had to guess whether or not those 2 functions are inverses, what would you guess?
Oh, no.
And why would you say no? But I see a plus 3 and a minus 3. We have no issues with the letters. We got some issues with the math. What were we expecting to have when we talked about functions inverses were supposed to be opposites? Yeah, so I thought since we added 3 and subtracted 3, I thought since we had multiplied by 2, I thought g of x would have divided by 2. So I'm going to guess number 4 is no. I'm going to be correct, but we'll actually go over how to do real math, not just my logic-y way, and check it in a second. Okay, number 5, if you had to guess, would you guess whether or not 5 is? Well, it's all opposite operations. Plus 6 minus 6, multiplying by 4, dividing by 4. I would think 5 is a yes. And then 6, I'm really not sure. Because, yeah, there's a negative 1/3 and a negative 3, and then the 3 and the 9. We worked a problem like this last week. Those actually are going to end up being inverses. What's throwing it off on 6? And 2 gets the point. The fraction makes it hard. So while on 4 and 5 I can instantly spot yes or no, on 6 I'm not really sure, and the issue is that darn fraction. So I already know the answers to 4 and 5. I'm still going to do the math to prove it to myself, but I already know the answers. Okay, so the worst thing we struggled on so far this chapter is composition, and sadly it's coming back up today. We need it today. What were the 2 acronyms we're supposed to remember? And 2 and 5 get a point. We talked about fog. We talked about Goff. Today we're going to use fog and Goff. And in fact, if they really are inverses, fog and Goff are going to match. We talked about that rarely happens. Because functions rarely are inverses. There's so many other, very rarely are you inverses. But if they are inverses, not only will fog and Goff match, but they'll both have a very specific answer. The answer will be x. So you and I are going to go to number 4. We're going to try fog. And if we don't get x, we're going to quit. Because if we don't get x with fog, then who cares about Goff? We've already failed. Well, number 5, if we get x with fog, then we're going to try Goff as well. So we're going to try both if we need to, but if one fails, we're going to stop because we're lazy and there's just no point. So if it's a yes, they're both going to match, and even more specifically, they're both going to give us an x. Okay, so that requires us to remember fog and Goff. So let's go to number 4 and try it out. So in number 4, we need to do fog. I know that g of x is 2x minus 3, so I'm going to replace that with the 2x minus 3. I know f is actually 2x plus 3. But you and I both know what we're supposed to do is everywhere in parentheses, everywhere we saw an x, we're replacing it with 2x minus 3. Again, f used to be 2x plus 3, but we're supposed to put g in where that x spot is. And then I'm not feeling too good about this. What's my final answer after I distribute that 2 and clean things up a bit? 4x and then what? Thank you. Thank you, 5, for finishing it. Sorry, I'm going to give him the point. You're going to fix the next one. It's going to be great. Okay, or answer this. Did I get what I wanted? Is that the answer I wanted? No, so I'm going to stop. So 2, you can have your point now. I wanted to get x. Since I did not get an x, no, they're not inverses. And seriously, there's no need. Yes, I checked fog. There's no need to check Goff because we've already failed. You know how it is when you already know on the front side of a test you already failed it, so then you leave the whole back side blank because you're that person. That's basically what we're doing. We are those people right now. Okay, so number 5, we're going to check fog. So g of x is, in this case, x minus 6 over 4. F is 4x plus 6. But everywhere I see an x, I'm replacing it with g of x. So I actually have 4x minus 6 divided by 4. Am I happy on this one? Did I get the answer I wanted? You are happy. Tell me who canceled out first. Not yet. 4's are gone, so I just have x minus 6 plus 6. 6's are gone, so yes, I just have x. If you instantly realized that, good for you. You don't have to show all that work. So we're looking good. We got the answer we wanted for that. But the good mathematician in me knows, yes, it worked for fog. Yeah, I need to check for Goff. It's probably going to work for Goff. I'm feeling pretty confident, but it does not kill us to check. So let's see. We did fog. Let's do Goff. So g of f of x. And let's see. F of x is 4x plus 6. G is x minus 6 over 4. So g was something minus 6 over 4. That something used to be an x, but we're replacing that x with a 4x plus 6. Am I happy on this one? I am. Who cancels out first? No. 6's. The plus 6 minus 6 go away. We have 4x over 4, and we end up getting just x. But again, if you realize that to begin with, you don't have to show all your math. Okay, so what should I write as my answer then? Yes. Because we got x with both fog and Goff. So I told you the other day, fog and Goff don't match most of the time. And that's true. They don't. But when they do, they tend to both be x's. And when they're both x's, they're inverses. Are there any questions about 5? Again, you've got to make peace with function composition in order to check this, but it's really nice if you compose them correctly. Normally people cancel out fast and you get just an x if they really are inverses. And if they're not inverses, you realize it pretty fast. Like, hey, stuff's not canceling out. This is not going to work out. Okay, so let's do number 6, and then it's all you. So 6, we're going to do fog. So I need f of g of x. So f of g of x is negative 3x plus 9. Well, f is negative 1/3 x plus 3. Well, I just realized everywhere I see an x, I'm supposed to put negative 3x plus 9. And now I'm wondering, is this all going to work out? Am I going to get just an x? Are you feeling good or not good about this one? What should I do first? Let's distribute to get a point. If we distribute, what will we get? I know. Yes, so you'll have a negative times a negative, and then the 3's and 3's cancel, so you know with just an x, but then what? Say what now? Oh, yay. And so, did we get what we wanted? Yes. Yeah. So, it's looking pretty good with fog. Just got to confirm this with Goff, and then we can say for sure, yes, they're inverses. There are some teachers who only make people check the one way. But I was taught you have to check both ways. Like if they really were inverses, it should work either way. Okay, g of f of x is negative 1/3 x plus 3. G is negative 3x plus 9. So everywhere I used to see an x, I'm going to replace it with that negative 1/3 x plus 3. Okay, am I feeling good about this one or no? Why? Yes, we get just x, but what else am I thinking about? Negative 9, and then the plus 9, and so the 9's cancel out, and we end up with just an x. Paige is correct, she can have her point. So we got x's both times, so yes, inverses. So literally, you were mad at function composition, and I understand some of the function composition we were doing the other day can be a pain in the rear. But at least today with function composition, you're either getting an x, and then they're inverses, or you're failing to get an x, and you're like, no, these aren't inverses, and I'm stopping here. So finally, function composition is useful.